I'm not a man of big speeches or fancy gestures. I don't own a suit, I don't drink wine, and I've never traveled farther than 3 states from where I was born. What I am is steady. The kind of guy who shows up to work 10 minutes early, brings the same lunch every day, and comes home with sore hands but a clear conscience. That's the life I had, simple, honest, and small. Until her. We met 5 years ago. I was fixing shelves in the back room of a dollar store after my night shift, sweaty and dead tired, when she walked in like she didn't belong there, because she didn't. Everything about her was out of my league. The way she moved, her voice, her confidence. She asked for directions to a coffee shop that was literally around the corner, and I was so flustered I walked her there myself. That's how it started. Me, stumbling over my words. Her amused. Our first date was a $5 burger night. Our second was a walk by the river. And somehow, this woman, this beautiful, clever, impossible woman, kept choosing me. Over the years, I gave her everything I could. I worked overtime shifts. Skipped vacations. Cancelled plans. I'd come home smelling like sweat and oil, and she'd be there on the couch, talking about dreams and travel and design and how we'd make it big someday. I always believed her. We lived in a tiny apartment where the heater clanked in winter and the fridge froze everything. I patched holes in the walls and scrubbed floors with my bare hands. I didn't care. I was building something, a future, a home, a forever. I didn't have much to give, but I gave it all to her. And the proposal? That was everything to me. I saved for months, cutting corners on groceries, wearing worn-out boots. I bought a modest ring, nothing flashy, but it shined in the light like a promise. I planned the night with her sister. Invited our closest friends. Booked a little rooftop spot above her favorite cafe. I practiced the speech. I imagined the tears in her eyes. I pictured us old and gray, laughing about how nervous I was that day. I was terrified, but certain. I believed she was my soulmate. I had no idea that just hours after I dropped to one knee, everything I believed in would start to unravel. I'll be honest with you, I've never been good at big, emotional moments. I was nervous as hell. My hands were shaking so bad I thought I'd drop the ring. But that night, that proposal, it felt like the most real, important thing I'd ever done. We were on the rooftop of that little cafe she loved, the one with the twinkle lights and that view of the city skyline. I got her sister to help gather a few close friends and family, maybe 20 people total. Nothing crazy. I couldn't afford some Instagram-level production, but I knew she didn't care about that. At least, I thought she didn't. When I got down on one knee, her face lit up. She gasped. Covered her mouth like they do in the movies. I swear I felt the world slow down for a second. I told her I loved her, that I wanted to build a life with her, that everything I am and have is hers. She teared up. Nodded. Whispered, "Yes." Everyone started clapping and cheering, and for that moment, I felt like I actually had it all. The ring wasn't big. I knew that. But it sparkled in the string lights, and when she held out her hand for it, she smiled, or at least, I thought she did. It was quick, like she was half distracted. I brushed it off. Chalked it up to nerves or maybe the attention getting to her. People hugged us. Champagne popped. Her dad gave me a pat on the back like I'd finally earned her. We took pictures. She leaned on me like she always did, like we were a team. I felt proud. Relieved. Like everything I'd worked for was finally paying off. I kept catching her staring off, though. At first, I thought she was just overwhelmed. But even when she laughed, it didn't sound right. Too tight. Too sharp. I asked if she was okay, and she said, "Yeah, just tired. It's been a long day." That's the thing about betrayal, man. It doesn't hit all at once. It starts small. Quiet. Just a flicker in the corner of your eye. And you tell yourself, no, you're imagining it. Because who wants to believe the happiest moment of your life might be the beginning of your worst? I didn't know it yet, but that, yes, wasn't a promise. It was the start of a lie. The weird part is, it didn't even take days. It was hours. After the proposal, everyone eventually left, and it was just the two of us in the apartment. You'd think we'd be lying there all night, smiling, holding hands, dreaming about our future, like you see in those cheesy rom-coms. Instead, she spent most of the night on her phone. Now look, I'm not the kind of guy who freaks out if his girl is texting. I know people need their space. But something about the way she was holding her phone close to her chest when I walked into the room, that stuck with me. She looked startled, like I'd caught her doing something. Then, almost immediately, she gave me a smile, but not the kind of smile that reaches your eyes. It was more like something she'd practiced in the mirror. I asked her if everything was okay. She said, "Yeah, I'm just overwhelmed. Big night. That's all." But she didn't lean into me like she usually does. She didn't joke about how she was finally going to be stuck with me. She didn't ask to see the pictures from the night or talk about venues or dresses or honeymoon ideas. She got up and said she had to call her mom. Went into the bedroom. Locked the door. I sat there on the couch alone, still wearing the same shirt I proposed in, staring at my half-drunk glass of champagne. I tried not to overthink it. I really did. She came out about 20 minutes later, sat beside me, and pulled her legs up under her like everything was normal. She said, "I'm just tired. Big day." Kissed me on the cheek, and said she was going to bed. That night, lying next to her, I felt something I hadn't felt in 5 years with her: distance. Not physical, emotional. Cold. Detached. Like she was a million miles away and already walking in the other direction. I stared at the ceiling and tried to tell myself it was nothing. Stress. Nerves. Just a lot to process. But deep down, I already knew. Something was off. And it had started the minute she said, "Yes." The next morning, I woke up alone in bed. She was already up, moving around the apartment, getting ready to meet a friend for brunch, or at least that's what she said. I asked if I could come with her, kind of joking, kind of not. She gave me this half laugh and said, "Babe, it's just us girls today. You'd be bored out of your mind." She kissed my forehead and left in a rush. I didn't think too much of it, until I went into the bedroom to grab her charger. Her phone was still plugged in next to the bed. She never leaves it behind. Ever. And I didn't mean to look. I swear I didn't go digging. But the screen lit up with a message preview as I picked it up. A name I didn't recognize. T. And the message? "Last night messed with my head. Seeing you say yes to him. I still can't believe this is real." I froze. My stomach dropped like I'd swallowed a stone. I just stood there, staring at those words over and over, trying to make sense of them. Who the hell was T? Why would he be texting her that? What did he mean? "Seeing you say yes." I didn't open the message. I didn't scroll. I didn't snoop. I just put the phone back, backed out of the room, and sat down on the edge of the couch, feeling like someone had just whispered in my ear that my whole life was about to change. She came home an hour later, cheerful. Said brunch was amazing. Gave me a kiss and flopped on the couch like nothing was wrong. I smiled back. But something had cracked in me. That message, that name, it sat in the back of my brain like a ticking clock. And for the first time since proposing, I felt a strange, quiet panic. Like I was standing at the edge of something I didn't want to look down into, because I already knew I wouldn't like what I saw. I didn't bring it up. I should have. I know that now. But back then? I told myself I was being crazy. Overthinking. Getting jealous for no reason. I mean, we just got engaged. She said yes. She hugged me, kissed me, smiled through photos and clinked glasses. You don't do all that if you're planning to leave someone, right? That's what I kept telling myself. Over and over. I started running laps in my own head. Maybe T was a friend. Maybe it was short for Tina or Tyler or some old coworker. Maybe it wasn't even romantic. People talk in weird ways. Maybe I was reading too much into it. Maybe I was the problem. I kept replaying the message. Seeing you say yes to him. I still can't believe this is real. I convinced myself it could mean anything. I imagined it being about a surprise party. A prank. A joke. Something dumb and harmless. Because the alternative, that my fiancé had someone watching our engagement and texting her about it like he was the one she belonged with, that was too much to accept. I didn't eat much that day. Couldn't focus. Even during work, I kept checking my phone, hoping she'd text something sweet, something to reassure me without even knowing she needed to. But nothing came. She didn't seem distant that night. In fact, she seemed normal, which almost made it worse. Like she had switched on some kind of autopilot. Said all the right things. Kissed me goodnight. Rolled over and fell asleep. And I just laid there, wide awake, staring at the ceiling fan. I felt like a guy sitting in a house that's already on fire, convincing himself it's just the light playing tricks on the walls. Because part of me knew in my gut, that something was wrong. But the bigger part of me didn't want to believe it. Because if I let myself believe it, even for a second, it meant the life I'd built, the love I thought I had, might already be gone. It happened late one night, about 4 days after the proposal. She thought I was asleep. I'd been tossing and turning, unable to quiet my thoughts. I kept thinking about that message from T. The way her mood shifted. How she barely touched her food anymore. She started staying on her phone longer, always keeping the screen tilted away. She'd go to the bathroom with it. Turn off notifications. Set it face down like it was something private, something sacred. That night, sometime after 1 a.m., she got out of bed quietly and went to the living room. I don't even know why I followed her. Something just pulled me. I moved slow, careful not to make a sound. I stood just out of view near the hallway, heart pounding so hard I could hear it in my ears. She was on the phone. At first, I only caught her tone, soft, almost guilty. Not like the voice she used with me. And then I heard her say it, clear as day. Yes, he proposed. I said yes, but it's complicated. You know I can't say no to you. I froze. My brain didn't even process it right away. I just stood there, gripping the doorframe like it was the only thing keeping me upright. I didn't hear the rest, or maybe I did, but I can't remember it. Everything after that line turned into static. She wasn't confused. She wasn't overwhelmed. She was torn. Torn between two people. Between two lives. And I realized, this wasn't just a one-time mistake. This wasn't a flirtation or some emotional fling she hadn't figured out how to end. She had already chosen him. She said yes to me, while still promising something to him. I went back to bed without saying a word. I stared at the ceiling for the rest of the night, trying to make sense of how the woman I thought I knew inside and out, the woman I just asked to spend forever with, was living a double life 2 feet away from me. And the worst part? She came back to bed an hour later. Slipped under the covers like nothing had happened. She kissed my shoulder. And I pretended to be asleep. Because I wasn't ready to admit that the woman I loved might not even exist anymore. It was a Saturday night. We were at her best friend Carly's apartment for what was supposed to be a casual post-engagement celebration, pizza, wine, board games. Just a few people we both knew well. I didn't want to go, honestly. My stomach had been in knots for days. I couldn't shake the words I'd overheard on the phone. But I went anyway, because pretending everything was okay had become the only thing I knew how to do. Everyone congratulated us. Toasted to love, and forever, and all the other things that made my skin crawl by that point. She was all smiles. Laughing, drinking, glowing in the attention. It made me sick. Because I knew what was happening behind that perfect act. I knew the truth, even if I hadn't confronted her yet. Then came Carly. She was tipsy, the kind of drunk that makes people careless. We were standing in the kitchen, just the two of us. She leaned in, smiling, and said, "You know, Tom's gonna lose it when he finds out she actually said yes." I didn't react at first. I didn't even blink. Tom? I asked, keeping my voice calm. She laughed like she just told an inside joke. Oh, please don't act like you don't know. She was always hung up on him. The basketball guy? You've met him, right? Like once? I didn't answer. I just nodded slowly. She took another sip of her drink. Anyway, she told me not to bring him up. So, pretend I didn't say anything. You didn't hear it from me, okay? I stared at her for a second and said, yeah. Sure. And just like that, the pieces clicked. The name from the message, the T, was Tom. The message about seeing you say yes. The midnight phone call. All of it. Carly had no idea she just lit the fuse on the grenade I'd been trying so hard not to touch. And the worst part? I don't think she cared. I walked back into the living room where my fiancée was sitting, laughing with her friends, completely unaware that her world was about to change. And I knew, right then, I couldn't keep pretending much longer. I didn't wait until we got home. I couldn't. Something about hearing his name, Tom, spoken out loud like it was just some funny little secret between her and her friend, it cracked something open in me. I wasn't even angry. Not yet. I just felt hollow, like all the air had been sucked out of the room and my legs were moving on autopilot. I pulled her aside, out onto Carly's tiny balcony. The laughter and music from inside kept playing, muffled like it was from another world. She looked up at me, slightly annoyed. What? What's going on? I asked her, as calmly as I could. Who's Tom? Her face changed. It was small, just a twitch in her eyes and the way her jaw tensed, but it was enough. In that 1 second, I knew everything I feared was true. She didn't answer right away. She looked past me, like maybe the sky had something more interesting to say. Then she laughed, actually laughed, and said, Are you serious right now? I didn't say a word. Just looked at her. That's when it all poured out of her, not truth, but deflection. She started calling me paranoid. Said I was insecure. Said she couldn't even enjoy being engaged for 5 minutes without me acting like a jealous freak. She rolled her eyes, crossed her arms, looked at me like I was the one who betrayed her. You're so obsessed with being the good guy, she said. You don't even see how suffocating you are. Do you know how small my life feels with you sometimes? I didn't even know what to say. I was stunned. This wasn't a confession. It was an attack. She flipped the narrative so fast, I almost forgot she was the one with the secret. But then I asked her again. Just once. Are you cheating on me? She paused. Just long enough to let the silence answer. Then she said, It's not what you think. Which, as anyone who's ever heard those words knows, is code for yes. And it's probably worse than you think. After she said, It's not what you think, I just stood there. I think I wanted her to say anything else. To tell me I'd misunderstood. That it was a joke. A one-time mistake. A drunken moment. Anything that would let me cling to the version of her I'd built in my head. But no. She sighed, looked off again, then said, Okay. Fine. You want the truth? Yes, there's someone else. But it's not like I love him or anything. It's just physical. I swear I stopped breathing. Just physical. Like that made it okay. Like stripping down and giving someone your body was somehow less intimate than giving them your heart. She kept talking, said things like, He doesn't mean anything. And, I never planned to let it go on this long. And the worst one of all. You pushed me into it. You made me feel trapped. You're always working. Always tired. I just wanted to feel alive again. So there it was. According to her, it wasn't her betrayal. It was my routine. My job. My loyalty. My stability. My love. That was the cage she needed to escape from, into the arms of a 6'7" millionaire athlete who probably couldn't remember her birthday if you paid him to. I wanted to scream. I wanted to cry. I wanted to disappear. But mostly, I wanted to stop existing in that moment. Because standing there, hearing the woman I planned to marry reduce our relationship to boring and too small, while excusing her affair as just sex, it shattered something inside me. She didn't apologize. Not once. She just stood there, arms crossed, looking like the victim. And I finally understood, this wasn't just about another man. It was about who she had become, and who she had decided I wasn't. I don't know what came over me after she said those words. It's just sex. Something snapped. It was like I stepped outside of my own body, watching myself from a distance. The numbness had turned to adrenaline, and I just moved. I walked back into the apartment. The noise hit me like a wave, laughter, music, clinking glasses. All these people still celebrating an engagement that no longer meant a damn thing. She followed close behind me, hissing my name under her breath, probably trying to stop me. But it was too late. I grabbed a spoon and tapped it against a wine glass. The sound cut through the room like a pin drop in a cathedral. Heads turned. Conversation stopped. Everyone looked at me, the happy fiancé, smiling, waiting for a toast. I didn't smile back. Instead, I said, "Thanks, everyone, for coming. I just want to clear the air about something before anyone else posts photos congratulating us on the engagement." You could feel the confusion ripple through the room. "Turns out," I said, "my fiancé has been sleeping with someone else. A basketball player named Tom. Some of you might even know him. Hell, maybe some of you knew about it before I did." Gasps. A few awkward laughs. One guy actually dropped his beer. I turned to look at her. She stood frozen, face white, jaw clenched, eyes wide. Her mouth opened, probably to deny it, to spin it, but the damage was done. "She told me it's just physical," I said, my voice shaking. "That she said yes because it was easier than being honest. That she needed something more exciting than me. So, yeah? No wedding. No forever. But thanks for showing up." Nobody knew what to say. Carly put her hand over her mouth. Someone muttered, "Jesus Christ." "And her?" She stormed out. Just turned on her heels and disappeared into the hallway without a single word. I didn't chase her. I didn't even look back. I just walked out too, through the stunned silence, through the thick air of judgment and disbelief, and down the stairs like I was walking away from a burning house that was never really mine. And in a way, I was. I don't even remember getting in the car. All I know is that when I closed the door, and the engine hummed to life, the silence felt deafening. No voices. No explanations. No applause. Just me, and 3 boxes of leftover cake on the passenger seat, mocking me like some cruel souvenir. The cake was supposed to be for our families. Something sweet to drop off on the way home, a thank you. A gesture. Now it just sat there, white icing smudged against the inside of the plastic lid, slowly melting into nothing, kind of like everything else. I sat there with my hands on the wheel for a long time. Not driving. Not crying. Just sitting. Numb. My phone lit up with messages. A few from friends at the party. A couple of missed calls from her. I didn't open a single one. I couldn't. Because even though I had just exposed everything, even though I had finally said it out loud, I still couldn't wrap my head around it. We were supposed to be planning a wedding. We were supposed to be house hunting next month. We had a list, a literal list, of baby names in the notes app on my phone. And now here I was, parked on a quiet street, staring at a ring in the center console and wondering how someone could kiss you like they meant it, lie to your face, and still sleep soundly next to you at night. I felt humiliated. But more than that, I felt small. Like I had been orbiting someone who never saw me as a partner, just as a stepping stone. She said she needed something more exciting. That I made her feel trapped. All I ever wanted was to build something real. And she wanted fireworks, not foundations. I drove home eventually. I don't remember the ride. Just the ache in my chest and the way I carried those cake boxes up the stairs, like maybe pretending everything was normal would delay the collapse a little longer. But it didn't. I set them on the kitchen counter. And then I sat in the dark until the sun came up, wondering what pieces of my life were still mine, and what parts she'd taken with her when she walked out. In the days that followed, I became a ghost in my own apartment. I didn't turn on the TV. I barely touched my phone. The cake boxes sat untouched on the counter, frosting hardening, slowly collapsing inward. Every time I looked at them, I saw a different version of myself, the man who thought love was enough, who thought loyalty was currency, who thought commitment meant something. But love doesn't mean the same thing to everyone. That's a lesson I learned too late. I started replaying everything, every small moment I had brushed off before. The weekend she claimed to be at the gym, but never posted a single photo. The lingerie I found stuffed at the back of her dresser, tags still attached, that she never wore for me. The way she started dressing differently, even when we weren't going anywhere special. The makeup that suddenly stayed on after we got home. The phone that never left her hand. The sudden interest in basketball, a sport she'd once said bored her to death. And then the absences. The little ones at first, late nights, working on a client presentation, early morning, yoga classes, quick runs to the store that somehow took hours. I used to tell myself that was ambition, drive, independence. Now I see it for what it really was, distance. She had been creating space between us for months. Smiling through it. Laughing. Making plans. Kissing me goodnight. Playing the role of a loving fiancé while living a second life behind a curtain I refused to pull back. But the signs were there. God, they were all there. And I ignored every one of them. Not because I didn't see them, but because I did, and I didn't want to believe what they meant. Because if I admitted it back then, I would have had to accept that the person I loved didn't really exist. That she was just a projection, a version she let me fall in love with, while she gave her reality to someone else. She once told me I was too trusting. I thought it was a compliment. Now I know she meant it as a warning. There's this quiet moment after heartbreak, after the crying, the shaking, the obsessive rereading of messages, where you just sit in the wreckage. Not numb. Not enraged. Just aware. Aware of how long you ignored the obvious. How hard you fought for someone who wasn't even on your side. How much of yourself you gave away, and how little of it she actually asked for with honesty. That's where I was. And one morning, after another sleepless night, I woke up with this sudden, solid truth lodged in my chest. I don't belong in her world. Her world is penthouses and fake lashes and people who say, "I love you," like it's a formality. It's champagne on weeknights, attention as currency, and Instagram stories curated to disguise chaos. It's flirting with fame, chasing validation, living for the next, like, while leaving the people who'd do anything for her behind. And me? I'm not that world. I'm the guy who saved 3 years to buy her a ring. Who worked double shifts so we could visit her mom out of state. Who fixed the leaky sink at 1 a.m. so she wouldn't have to call the landlord. Who held her when she cried and believed her when she said, "I'd never do that to you." And maybe that makes me boring. Maybe that makes me small in her eyes. But that's not a flaw. It's who I am. So I did what I never thought I'd do. I canceled the wedding. Called every vendor. Explained. Swallowed the embarrassment. Ate the deposits. I returned the ring. Closed our shared account. Blocked her number. Deleted the folder with our photos. Burned the anniversary notes I kept in a box like a fool. And then I sat on the floor of my apartment with a trash bag full of memories and told myself, this isn't rock bottom. This is a clean slate. She didn't just betray me, she freed me. I just had to be strong enough to walk away from what I thought I wanted, and wait for what I truly deserved. A week passed. A quiet, raw, hollow week. No messages. No calls. No explanations. I thought that maybe, just maybe, she'd disappear for good. And for a while, it seemed like she had. Until one night, Just past midnight, my phone lit up with a number I didn't recognize. No name. Just the text bubble. I stared at it for a few seconds before opening it. Part of me knew it was her. Somehow you always know. And sure enough, it was. A wall of text. No greeting. No apology. No closure. Just venom. You think you're so righteous? Like you're this perfect guy? Please. You were never enough for me. You were safe. Predictable. Comfortable. But never exciting. I stayed with you because I felt guilty. Not because I loved you. You could never compete with someone like Tom. And you knew it. He's taking me to Europe. Paris. Venice. We're staying in places you'd never even be allowed to walk into. He treats me like I deserve to be treated. Not like some tired warehouse girl. I need more than what you can give. Always have. I didn't reply. Not because I couldn't. But because there was nothing left to say. This wasn't an apology. It wasn't even a real attempt at closure. It was one last slap, a final power move to remind me that she had won. That in her world, money and status and attention were the trophies, and I was the consolation prize she tossed away when a better offer came along. But here's what she didn't understand. Her text didn't hurt me. It confirmed everything. The lies. The manipulation. The selfishness. The emotional violence of making someone feel small for loving with their whole heart. She didn't break me with that message. She freed me, completely. Because now, there was nothing left to miss. It's strange, what you feel after it all goes quiet. There's no big finale. No movie-ending closure. No sudden peace. Just the quiet thud of reality settling in. And then, eventually, clarity. I used to think love was everything, that if you gave enough, forgave enough, stayed long enough, it would all work out. I thought loyalty was a guarantee. That being the good guy would be enough. But here's the truth I had to learn the hard way. Love is a choice. Every single day. So is betrayal. She didn't slip. She didn't get confused. She chose to lie. To cheat. To humiliate. Over and over again. She chose herself, but not in a healthy, empowered way. In the ugliest way possible. I gave her safety. Stability. Devotion. She wanted thrill. Image. Applause. And she was willing to destroy the one person who truly loved her to chase it. It took losing her to realize I never had her in the first place. Not really. But I had myself. And now, I have something better: freedom. Clarity. And the power to walk away with my integrity intact. So to anyone reading this, or living through something like it, don't ignore the small signs. Don't explain away your own pain to protect someone else's comfort. Don't let potential keep you in a relationship that keeps breaking your heart. You're not crazy for asking questions. You're not weak for wanting love to be real. And if they make you feel like you're too small for their world, good. That means you were never meant to stay in it. Walk away. You'll be surprised how light you feel when you finally drop the weight that was never yours to carry.